What's up, guys? So I got the footage from Cube week 5, starting off here with squats like normal. This was rep day, or it's the rep week for squats. So they fell within the 4 to 8 rep range on the conventional squats, or whatever you want to call them, just the normal squats, and then you follow it up with the high bars and the pause. The program percentage-wise for me was 355 today, and I just stuck with that. Actually, last Friday, I believe, I hit 355 for 7, so I knew that was only one set. I knew that I'd probably be able to fit in that range of 355, 4 to 8 pretty nicely, and I switched gyms and transitioned this week, so again, you know, you always just don't feel as confident in your lifts. Everything just feels a little bit heavier when you train somewhere else. At least that's how I typically feel. So I thought I hit 6 reps on this last set, but I only hit 5, so I hit 355 for 4, for 5, and for 5 on my 3 sets, but still pretty good. Overall, really good squat day for me. I talked about this in my last week's video as well, about trying to bring my elbows and my shoulders a little bit more forward as opposed to them so flared back. And it really looks like I'm not trying to do that at all. It's kind of funny because I look at this footage and my elbows feel so far inward, but when I'm actually squatting, they feel like they're really far inward, but I look at the footage and they're still flared way out. So just something else I'm trying to work on, but overall I was really happy with squats. I probably had another rep or 2 in the tank. But another thing you have to think about with the cube is even when you're done with your first 3 to 5 sets, maybe even 6 when you're doing some explosive work, even when you're done with those major movements, you need to have a little in the tank, because you're probably going to have at least 3 to 4 additional sets of not the exact movement, but not too big of a variation. So for this, it's going to be a high bar squat and a pause squat. So if I just murder myself in that last set, it's definitely going to affect the other 4 sets that I do. So this is actually the second set of high bar that I had. High bars felt incredibly good today. And I noticed it was actually easier for me to get my elbows out in front, kind of put my elbows more in line. You can see a big difference here. So this is at least a recent PR for me of 325 for a triple. Again, it called for 2 sets of 2 to 3, and then this was my last set of pause squats. So I know this is a PR for me, 305 for 7. I'm actually really surprised at how much I'm progressing with pause squats. When I look at these numbers on paper, like I've talked about in the past with the cube, I'm not going off the percentages per se all the time. Like I think this was supposed to be a 335 for 6 to 8. But my goal personally is not to hit some arbitrary number. It's just a progress. So for me, the most I'd ever pause squatted for reps before was 295. So I felt if I could hit 305, and I did, I hit 305 for 6, and then for 7, I felt that if I could do that 10-pound PR, that's all I really need. So that was it for squat day. Overall, it was tough, but everything felt really good. It's probably one of the few squat days with the cube so far that I felt really confident with. And then this was just today. I'm kind of doing some of this early. This was my max effort bench press day, so the program called for 3 sets of 2 at 230. So this was the first set for me. This was a pretty easy double for me. Again, setting up with like a new bench, and for me, I couldn't get the tuck that I'm normally accustomed to, just because this bench was set up a little bit higher. But it's actually kind of nice because I didn't have to lift the bar off so much. So that was a 235. I raised it up by 5 pounds. And this was the final set. This was a 245 for a double, and this is kind of what a really challenging double is for me. I don't think I've doubled 255 or 250. I may have in the past, but a 245 double for me is usually pretty difficult. And then I followed it up with close grip. So this should be, I think I have both my close grips in here. This was 235, which was a PR for me. A double PR, and I think this program called for 2 sets of 1 to 2. So then I got a spotter here because this was a really big PR. So this is actually 240 close grip for a double. I'm really surprised with my close grip bench press strength because I've never really done it before these 5 weeks. But I don't know how much it's helping my bench press, but it's coming up quite a bit. And just finished it off with 2 sets of 5 on pause bench press. What I'm really thinking about here is not having that little kind of motion off my chest, kind of like a double pump you guys can sometimes see. So I think this is the second set. I did a better job of maybe having my rest on my chest a little bit longer. I feel like that's going to help me, especially if and when I do compete, I need to take that out, or else I'm going to get, the lift's not going to be any good. Then I have my deadlift clips coming up here. So this was my third and final day of the cube training. This was 6 sets of 2. It was an explosive day, and the weight was actually 335, and I just did my first one at 315. Kind of feel how it went. And overall, I was really pleased with this. Most importantly, I was pleased how I was able to keep my back so flat without using a belt at all. Some adjustments, which you'll probably see here if you pay attention to my videos. Actually, I am wearing shoes, which is something I almost never do. I haven't done for a long time with deadlifts, but I just wanted to try it out. This is a kind of a slowed down motion here to kind of look at my bar path. And again, there's some trail there where my hips are a little bit too high, and you can see that I'm kind of like catching up to it with my pull. But overall, it looks pretty good. The bar path's really efficient, and there's not really, I mean, it's only 335, but there's no real rounding, or even starting in a bad, my starting position's even a little bit better with my upper back being flatter. And I pretty much kept the same. I think I only have like 5, I think I have 5 of my 6 sets recorded, and I kept my form good throughout. The 2 adjustments that I made really were, of course, wearing shoes is the big one, and then just widening my stance a little bit, and then pointing my toes out a little bit more, and actually thinking about, so everything got a little bit wider. My feet got a little bit wider. I pointed my toes out a little bit more, kind of shoved my knees out just a little bit. I felt it was a little bit more explosive that way. Again, I guess the true test will be when I start pulling a little bit heavier to see how that feels. But overall, all the pulls besides maybe deficits to talk about felt really good. And I'm pretty damn sure this is I didn't put this on as a PR, but I almost guarantee you that this is a a beltless block pull PR. I know I've pulled in the 400s with the belt before, but I've never gone this heavy without a belt. 355, and I hit 2 sets of 5. This last set was a little bit grindy, but then yeah, overall the program called for 2 sets of 5 at block pulls, and then 2 sets of 6 on deficits. I actually did 1 set of the deficits, which you'll see, but overall I think the deficits for me right now with the mobility that I have in my build, I think they're just kind of most likely doing more harm than good. So I did one, and it was really cool because I did all of my, I guess it would have been at least 8 working sets prior to the set of deficit, and felt literally nothing in my lower back. And I did 1 set of deficits here, and again, this is a large deficit. This is the smallest deficit I actually could find in the gym. So that's something to do with it too. But yeah, this kind of like scratched my lower back. And I do understand that that's the point to say to overload your lower back, but again, I think they're just doing a little bit more harm than good for me right now, and especially if I don't have access to a little bit smaller of a deficit. I'm probably just gonna start going with like 2 sets of RDLs, like barbell RDLs, to finish off my deadlift days. So I did that. I just did like 2 lighter sets, and then yeah, then I just finished it up with some pull-ups, which are on, I think they're on 2 days of the cube, maybe. I think they're on the squat day and the deadlift day, but I only do them on the deadlift day. But yeah, I finished off with just some pull-ups, like 3 sets. I think this was my 2nd set here. I got like 13 maybe. And one quick last note I wanted to make about this week. I have been more conscious as I've just been having a little bit more free time to do 2 mobility exercises after each of my sessions. So I've only trained 3 times this week. But yeah, after squat, bench, and deadlift, I just picked 2 mobility exercises that kind of relate to the muscles that I was working. So like, hips and quads, or hips and hip flexors for squat, maybe like some shoulder stuff for bench press and lats maybe, and for deadlifts like some low back and some hamstrings. Pick 2 mobility exercises from the Supple Leopard and just hammer away for like 10 or 15 minutes. Something I definitely recommend people do. Again, I've only been doing it this week, so it's kind of really hard to tell. But I feel like my recovery has been awesome, so I'm going to continue to do it. But yeah, that's it for this week, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and I'll see you next week.